my channel. I'm glad you're here. If you're joining me for the first time on this channel, I share patterns and tutorials that are modern, mostly easy and fun. Today I'll be demonstrating the stacked single crochet as a starting stitch to avoid gapping in your project and create a nice straight edge. I'm using a number 4 weight yarn and a 5.0 millimeter crochet hook. So we're going to start off with, if you'll notice here on this side, I've done a couple of rows and I'm doing that typical chain 3 and then start your next double crochet. So I'm going to go ahead and do that so you can see here 1, 2, 3, and then typically you would turn your work and you would yarn over and start that next set of double crochet. I'm going to do 2 of them here. And if you'll notice, once I do that, it creates this gap in here. And that would be what you would see every other row on this side, and you would also see the same gap every other row on the opposite side. So instead of having this gap here, there's another way that you can stack single crochets so that you get an edge that looks more along the lines of this, where you have that closing up of that gap so that you don't see it and your edge is nice and straight. So if you were someone who was crocheting a blanket and you decided that you didn't want to put edging on it, you wanted to leave it the way it was, you would have a nice straight edge. I'm going to go ahead and do my double crochets all the way down to the edge here, and then I will show you how to do those stacked single crochets. You can see again on this side let me move it over. On this side you can see it's not nice and straight. When I come back this way and I put that that double crochet into this chain, you're going to have that big gaping hole in there, and that's what you're going to see up the entire side of your project. So in order to avoid that, what I like to do is when I get to this edge, I will go ahead and I'm going to put that last double crochet into my top stitch here. And then I'm going to stop and I'm not going to close here. I'm going to leave this open. So you should have 2 loops on here. And if you look closely, you'll see I've got those 2 loops on there, and I'm not going to close it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my work, and I am going to go into this first stitch. So if you can see there's that first stitch. I'm going to go into that first stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop. You should have 2 loops on there. I'm going to yarn over and pull through both of those loops. And that's your first single crochet. And then you'll still see you have those 2 loops there. We're going to go into this bottom loop, or this second loop. Okay? And if you watch, I'm just going to go between the loops here to get into that second loop, and I'm going to go through the center of it. So I'm going through the center of it, as you can see here. Yarn over and pull up another loop. That gives me 2 loops on my hook again. And I'm going to yarn over and pull through. All right. And that is going to give us the height of that we need to start that first double crochet. Now this would count as 1 double crochet. Those 2 stacked single crochets would count as 1 double crochet, and then you would yarn over and start your first true double crochet, but it would be your second stitch on this row. And I'm going to do a couple of these double crochets so that you can see what it looks like. Now that I've done that stacked double crochet. So if you can see here, there is no gap. This is nice and straight. When I come back around here and I go back through this again to do that finishing double crochet, this is going to be nice and straight. There will be no gaps versus what you see on this side with these gaps. So this gives you a nice straight edge. There are no gaps. It makes your project look beautiful. All right, so I'm going to go back across again. We have done the chains, so I'm going to just go ahead and do my last double crochet. I'm going to do my chain 3. This would be the typical way that it's done. And I would turn my work and I would start going back across again with my double crochets. And I'll do a couple here, and you can see it's getting kind of very, I would say wobbly. To me, that just looks like wobbly. It's just like, it's just wobbly. It just doesn't look great. You know, when you're looking at something that you want it to be nice and neat, it just doesn't look great. Now, if I was doing a finishing edge on here, it might not matter as much, but if you're just doing a straight piece and you're not connecting it, it just doesn't look so great with these holes in here. Even if you have them on the other side, it just doesn't look right. And then when you try to put something on the edge of here, it may be more difficult to do it just because you'll have a gap here. So this may pull out even more and make the holes even bigger here than it would be when you do a stitch in here if you're putting your edging on. So to avoid this, I like to do the stacked single crochet. All right, so I'm going to go back across again. Okay, so now we're back down here. We're back down at that edge again. This is our straight edge. All right, we're going to do that last double crochet. And you're going to go right through the top of that stitch. You're going to do that double crochet. You're going to leave this open. You're not going to close it. You're going to leave those 2 stitches on there just like that. You can see here. Don't close it. Turn your work. You're going to go You're going to go back in through that first stitch right there, that hole right there. Yarn over, pull up a loop. You should have 2 loops. Yarn over, pull through 2. That gives you the first single crochet. Then to do the stack, you're going to go into that second loop, go through it, yarn over, pull up a loop. Now you have 2 more loops. You're going to pull over, pull through, yarn over and pull through. And now you'll have 2. Here's the first one, here's the second one. And when you go in to make your next stitch, it's going to stack and you're going to have a nice straight edge there. So you'll have this versus this with the holes in it. All right. So the next thing I wanted to show you is that this will literally work with any stitch, no matter how tall it is. So if you wanted to do, instead of a double, you wanted to do a treble, which would be an even taller stitch. I'm going to go back and take this out and show you. So let's say I was going to do a treble in the next row, treble crochet in the next row. So what you're going to do is you're going to get to this where there's 2 loops, just like we did before. You're going to turn your work. You're going to go through that stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, pull through 2, and that's your first single crochet. Then you're going to go into that second loop. You're going to go in and through the middle of it, pull up a loop, and you've got 2 on there, and you're going to yarn over and pull through those 2. And then if you needed another one, as you would if you were doing a treble crochet, you're going to go back in here on that one, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through. So now you'll have 1, 2, 3 stacked single crochets. And then you could go in and do your treble. Pull through 2 and pull through 2. And I'm going to do another one so you can see how it comes together. Maybe one more so we can kind of get a good look at. Oop. Pull through 2, and pull through 2. And you can see again here, even though I've switched and I'm doing a new stitch, when I do those stacked double crochets, no gap. If I were to have to do a chain 4 here, this would be a huge gap. It would look even bigger than these. So with a double crochet, you're stacking 2. With a treble crochet, you're stacking 3 single crochets. So with a double, you're stacking 2. And with a treble, you're stacking 3 single crochets. And you would just keep going on down the line, turn your work, do those 3 stacked single crochets again, and start back across. Okay, and again, this totally closes that gap and gives you this nice, beautiful edge, so that if you are not wanting to finish this with an edging or tassels or any of those kind of things, you have a nice, clean edge on your crochet project. All right, so I hope you'll give this a try in some of your projects. If you're trying some on your own, or if you're trying one of my projects, you'll see that I'll show you this again in other projects that I do. But if you do like this tutorial that I've done, please give me a thumbs up. And if you would like to see more of my creations and tutorials, hit the subscribe button and click on the bell so that you'll know when I post my videos. Thanks so much for joining me today. Blessings.